know that doing something creative helps you relax and reduce stress? But do you know that just admiring art can have the same calming effect on you? Well, if you don't believe me, then hang with us for the next hour and experience it for yourself. Well, with that, we're going to start our show for tonight. We have two very talented artists on our show. Um, and the first artist that we're going to meet is his name is Cornelius Carter. So let's welcome Cornelius on the show. Hi, Cornelius.
Hi, Kritika.
How are you doing?
Doing great. What about yourself?
Awesome. Doing good. It's good. Um, so, as we start the show, I want to tell you that I've seen a lot of your artwork, and it is so aesthetically pleasing, and I love all of them a lot. Um, do you remember, like, when did you started painting, and why did you start painting?
Yeah, I started painting. Well, I started painting probably when I was like 17, but I've been drawing all my life. So ever since a little kid, my mom used to give me white paper to draw on, and she would always encourage me to draw.
Yeah.
And my grandmother used to have Norman Rockwell. Well, she used to have the Saturday Evening Post magazines around. And I used to always be influenced by the art of Norman Rockwell. Uh, he was a master storyteller, and I love the clever optimism in his work. It was one particular painting that really, stuck with me and resonated with me, and it was the problem we all live with, and it was about Ruby Bridges. She was on her way to all white school during the New Orleans segregation crisis. And because of the threats and violence against her, she had to be escorted by 4 U.S. Marshals. And so this painting always resonated with me. And I just really thought it was very optimistic too, because it showed a change in America, you know? And so he was one of my early influences.
Hmm. Yeah, the art is so powerful, and it can invoke so many different emotions and inspire us in so many different ways. It's amazing. And when you're already on that path, just a little bit of a nudge is enough to get you started, right? um but I noticed that you have done a lot of portraits of idols. Why are you drawn to them? Like, why do you like them so much?
Well, I love to listen to music while I paint, and so a lot of the artists um, really influenced my work. And so at one time, I just started painting, the artist. My first painting was of Marilyn Monroe. She's not a singer, but once I did that painting of Marilyn Monroe, I went on to paint, Ray Charles and Michael Jackson and things like that.
Yeah, so is that oh, that's the Marilyn Monroe. That was your first portrait.
That was my first portrait. Yeah,
That's
I
beautiful.
did that one live too. It was probably like 200 people I painted that portrait in front of.
Live?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
When was that?
This was probably like 2009. You
Was
know,
that a show, like you did a live show or something?
yeah, it was a live show. They had music and and then they had an audience, just sitting there watching me paint this, portrait of Marilyn.
That is so cool. And that's the Ray Charles painting you're talking about. It's amazing, like the expression you have captured in there. Also see a lot of your paintings with people dancing, and the club scenes, and there are a lot of paintings specifically for tango. So what is your relationship with tango in particular?
That's a good question. Well, I'm a tango dancer. I've been dancing tango for about 6 years, and it's a really great community. I love the people in the community, and I love the socials, and I love the story of tango as well. And I like to paint about it. It's very interesting to paint about it because I'm immersed into that culture.
Uh-huh.
And in tango, you don't uh, ask a partner to dance with you verbally.
Okay. Why? So how does it start? How do you start dancing with someone?
Well, it's called a cabaseo, and you have to look at them a certain way. You give them a little nudge like that, and they
Oh,
can, say no or they can say yeah. But it's very discreet. And if they say no, you don't have to worry about anybody seeing it. You're not embarrassed. You just move on to the next person and give them another nod. So,
okay. Where do you go and dance, and are there performances that happen on the regular basis in Austin?
yeah, Austin has a very vibrant tango community, and you can dance just about every day of the week. Unfortunately, we're practicing social distancing now, but there's a great place on the east side called Esquina Tango. I don't know if you ever heard of it, but it's a cultural center, and they have a lot of dancing there. And I'm also on the board of the Austin Tango Society, and we do a huge festival every year. We have people that come to Austin from all over the world just to go to our festival.
Okay. That's. I would love to see you dance sometime.
Yeah,
Let me know when is the next festival, and
I'll
I'll.
most definitely invite you. You better come too. I'll teach you the Cabaseo.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, look at that.
That was beautiful. Look, graceful, so graceful. Love it.
Thank you.
Um, so I see like you have done a lot of work around musicians and then a lot of paintings with dancing couples and tango. But then I see this one painting which stands out completely from this theme, and it has about two men in their suits wearing gas mask and a kid. Um, what is this about?
Well, sometimes I often get political in my artwork, and I paint about, political issues, social issues, and things of that nature. Well, this painting pretty much depicts, uh, you know, it depicts taking care of our planet, you know, um, just being responsible with it, and if we don't, then it's going to affect the children. We want to leave our children, a planet. We want to leave them a planet, that they can, be happy with and live in safe, And so there's a certain responsibility that we have, whether it's corporate interests, you know, or whatever. It's a certain responsibility to take care of the planet, so that we can leave it in good shape for the kids.
Um, but 2020 has been a year where we're not only fighting the pandemic, we're also fighting racism. We're standing up against racism. So has that influenced your expression in any way?
Well, yeah, it has. I mean, I've always painted, like I said, sometimes I get political with my artwork. And, I'm very optimistic about, you know, a lot of the issues in this country.
Mhm.
Even though sometimes they do get bad, I'm still remain optimistic because I know what America stands for. It's a great country and
Yes.
it's not going to be perfect, So sometimes I paint in the way Norman Rockwell would, You paint about these issues, but you try to add that optimism to it so that people can see the hope, You
Mhm.
don't make it just totally negative, because negative can destroy your creativity.
Mhm.
So you have to find the positive outlook, like the light at the end of the tunnel. That's what you look for. And that's what I look for when I paint about social issues.
So do you have anything in works that you're currently working on?
Yeah. So This painting that I'm working on right now, if you can see this, can you see it okay?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so this painting is still a work in progress, um, but it's about liberty. And liberty feeds us equally. Uh, she doesn't promise the outcome, but she believes in the ideal that everybody, no matter what you look like, who you are, where you come from, should have equal opportunity to succeed. And she gives us the freedom to create our own opportunities. And if you can see the boy towards the bottom, his
Mm-hmm.
mind is on opportunity, and the gold coins are at his feet. So it's one of those things that you know we have we have opportunities, but it's through curiosity that we find our path, and that boy is showing that.
That is beautiful. I love I love it. I love the message you want to convey in it, and it's loud and clear in that painting. And now we have some of your artwork that is available for sale, and we're going to pull that up for the audience to see. All right. Yeah, I was saying we love Hideout, and it's just such a great place to go and check out this those shows. And I miss it so much these days. But I'm glad you're there, and I love the artwork. It's looking so great in there on their wall.
Yeah, it's feeling good here. Unfortunately, no one can really come in and see it right now.
I know. I miss Hideout. Yeah. I'm sure we'll be back in there pretty soon.
Hopefully.
What is your background, and how did you become an artist? When did you know that you want to do art?
Yeah, so I started making art when I was 7 years old. No, I started making art when I was 5 years old. And it was in my kindergarten class in New York City. Warhol and Herring and Basquiat were alive in New York at this time. And
Mhm.
I was just a little boy in his kindergarten class painting with tempera paint, just getting down. I just loved it so much. And then Reagan was elected president, and he slashed funding for the arts in schools. So I didn't touch paint again until I was 20 years old. And as soon as I did, I knew that it had to be a part of my life every day. And it was. And but in between those times, from 5 to 20, I always I rode skateboards, and I considered it street dancing. It felt like a dance to me. It felt like art, and I always drew, and I always just thought creatively. Um, Even though I didn't have the tools, I had the volition, and I had the spirit inside.
Okay. So, but you did study art, and you also studied psychology.
Yeah. So at this time, I was living in Sacramento, California. I moved there when I was 14 years old. Me and my mother had been traveling the United States homelessly from 10 to 14. And when we landed, we got a little bit of money and gathered some moss, we moved to California. And I did junior high, high school there. And then I proceeded to go to City College, Sacramento City College. And I studied art there. And more than picking up techniques or more than picking up techniques or technical skill, what I really picked up was the spirit of being in the studio and working with others, and the dynamic excitement of collaboration, and just knowing that I was in the right place, that this was my tribe. These are my people. And I feel like those things cemented a sense of like, this is it. This is it. I've come home.
So I remember going to Big Medium, and I walked into your studio, and I saw this beautiful installation of art on the wall. It was with the maps, the world map, but in separate pieces. And I remember asking you, like, was it made from the recycled world map? But and then you said, no, it's not recycle, it's upcycle. And that was a light bulb moment for me. I still remember it so clearly. After so
Yes. Upcycling. I'm about it. I'm about that life for sure.
So what is upcycle art?
Okay, so upcycling, or upcycling art, is so recycle. We all know what recycling is, right? We take it, we put it in the bin, it goes away, and then some people in a factory somewhere, in a warehouse, they divide it up and they melt it down, or they grind it up and they make new things out of it, right? That's recycling. Upcycling is taking items that have value in them, maybe not as a map, maybe not as a book, maybe not as a piece of lumber, and then you take it and you work with it, and to get it to a place where it can be applied in art. Like for instance, this piece here. Let's just take this piece here. This is an old census, right? The pages of this is an old census from like the 1940s. Is that valuable? Maybe right now. That information is probably online. Maybe not so valuable. We have like old lottery tickets and ginkgo leaves that I picked up from a tree that no longer needed them. They would have blown away or composted into the ground. So all these items had a life and were no longer serving the purpose of that life. These gold coins right here are from chocolates that I ate, and those were the wrappers, right? So it had served its purpose. It was all going in the trash or going in the recycle. But I stopped that and said, no, they have a value here right now, today, and in my artwork. So that's upcycling. You just don't worry about sending it to be turned into something else. You turn it into something else here yourself.
And you give it a new life to it. It gets a new life.
Completely, and becomes so valuable, right? I take these things that no longer have value, no longer have use. I manipulate them. I work with them. I infuse them with my heart, with my mind, with my spirit, and then somehow they're viewed as beautiful, and people value them and bring them into their home, and they become conversation pieces. They set the tone. It's incredible. It's a wonderful life, honestly.
I love that concept. That is so amazing. I truly love it. And it seems like you're working with so many different mediums, right? I can see you're working with paper and wood and acrylic. And how do you bring it all together? How does it all come together?
I guess how it all comes together is that I honor where I'm at. Whatever day I step in the studio, whatever time it is, I do what I want. If I feel like painting, I paint. If I feel like pushing paper around, I push paper around. If I feel like working with photography, I work with photography. I just allow myself to dive into different projects and abandon them and go to others and get back to them and just do what I want to do. Because if I'm not happy, if I'm not in a state of communion with
Mm-hmm.
the work, then those pieces don't sell. And it's really interesting. I noticed the pieces that I make that I'm like, oh, you know, I should make these pieces because I think they're going to sell and this is what people want. Those pieces never sell. The pieces that I make that I'm like, this is what I want to paint, this is what I want to create now, those pieces always fly. And so I've just learned to listen to my heart's dictate and just pour the love in. Just that. That's how it comes together. It comes together here, if that makes sense.
So, how much time do you really spend on your work? Like, does it take you days, or you can just finish something in a day, or it takes you weeks and months?
Yeah. So these pieces right here, all these pieces took me my entire life to make.
Okay.
See, every moment I've lived, every experience I've had has led up to this. And that's why they're so expensive, right?
Mm-hmm.
But as far as like the creating, the time in the studio, it varies. It varies. We talked about an art battle that I did,
Mm-hmm.
and they gave us 20 minutes. They said you got 20 minutes to go in there and paint your best painting. Time, go. And I tell you, before I did that 20-minute painting, I stretched, I prayed, I ate. I came in there so clear with such strong intention with a playlist, exactly 20 minutes that had like a ramp up, a takeoff, come down, everything. It was gorgeous, and I was able to create something. I was able to create a painting, a full painting, in just 20 minutes. And I stepped back from it, and I was like, "What have I been doing in the studio? Why have I been standing on ceremony? What's going on? Like, that I'm there and I'm taking, So I've learned to burn bright. I've learned to you walk through the door, you get down with it. You like make that time matter. We're getting older here, right?
Yes, yes, and I love the message that you have. Like, you can work with anything. You can work as long as you're focused. You are able to create in like 20 minutes, or it can take you several days and months. Um, and but I want to share something with you that about I see that your work has such organic feel to it. um it's like your work is very natural and very organic. And I want to share that in India I've come across several painters um who do this organic painting, and you would be amazed what they use to make it. They use cow dung, they use turmeric, sandalwood,
Yeah.
leaves, and charcoal.
Kumkum. Yeah.
Yeah, kumkum. Yes.
Yeah, I know. I've been to India. I love it. It's great. It's amazing.
So I would love to see a version of your organic painting made with all that, organic stuff from India. That
Oh
would
my
be
god.
really cool.
I had a mandala, it was like 1997. I painted a mandala with like spirulina, turmeric, kumkum, tea. Um yeah, I did that. And maybe there's more of those in the future, paintings that you can eat, right?
But is that lately you have been very involved with the Black Lives Matter movement, and I, what are your? Would you share some of your efforts that you have made, and why it means so much to you? Why you're so involved in it?
Yeah. Yeah. Simply, I'm a mixed race. I'm a mixed race man, right? I have black, white, Hispanic, and Arabic blood. So coming from that background, and also um, having had privilege in growing up in New York City, and living in privilege, and then losing that privilege and living in Toronto and Chicago, Houston, and Miami, homelessly, in the poorest of conditions. There was a time in Chicago where I went to 14 different schools in one year, and I would live on the north side, I would live on the south side, and back and forth with the white kids, with the black kids, going to different schools. Sometimes I would fight I mean, I would fight all the time, every day, like all the time. It's just a part of life. And the fighting was because either I was a honky or I was a nigger. I wasn't dark enough. I wasn't white enough. Um, and I learned that it doesn't matter, you know, it doesn't matter who's throwing the blows at your face, and it doesn't matter who you're having to fight against. Like, racism sucks. And when I'll say that again, racism sucks. I can't put it any plainer than that. But as I grew up, there was this thing that I understood, that it was that the that the white kids grew up to have a privilege and a upper um, had a step up that the black kids didn't. And I started to see it, that the economics, there was this thing of like, well, you might be beating me in basketball right now, or you might be kicking my ass, but later I'm going to be your boss. And I started to understand how the legacy of slavery worked. And I got educated to the reality of generational wealth. And as I got educated and I started to understand, um, I realized about the incarceration, the slavery, the slavery that's happening now of black men, that's institutionalized into the prison system. And I just realized I had to take a stand,
Mm-hmm.
that I'm committed to not living in fear in my life,
Mm-hmm.
and that I had to do something about it. I had been racially profiled a few times for being Arabic, before I even knew that I was Arabic. Um, but I just realized that you have to take a stand, and it's essential for me to like stand with all groups that are oppressed, all groups that are disenfranchised, all groups that are underserved, because I am deeply invested in humanity. I want us to thrive. I want us to like get past this and do so much. I believe that we can do so much. But before we can do those things, before we can take it to the stars and back, we have to learn to honor this, every single soul. We have to honor the smallest child, the weakest among us, the and the beauty of the black race, the beauty of all the races. We all have so much to contribute. And because I want that vision, because I hold that vision of peace and prosperity and wisdom and thriving, I have to work for it. I can't just want this thing and be like, oh, I want it. When I wanted to be an artist, what did I do? I chased after it. I went for it. I met people. Doors would crack open and I'd kick them open. Like I was tenacious about it. And here I am. I'm living my dream, right? So if I'm gonna live this dream, if I'm gonna attain this dream that has been set before me by so many others, I got to work for it too, and I got to work for it tenaciously. And I'm just learning how. I'm just getting started, and I want to sincerely thank Chaz Moore and the coalition, the Austin Justice Coalition, for their work. They are superstars. They're epic individuals that are working impeccably to create change and have created a path for me and for many others to work towards the end goal of justice and eventually unity. So I don't know if that answers your question, but I feel like I've been talking
It
a lot.
it does, and you have a great message there.
Sure.
But thank you for that. So now we're going to look at some of your artwork which is available for sale. Like besides what you have already in the Hideout Theater, we have some that we want to put it up on the screen for audience to
Yeah,
see.
I want to mention that all these works here are for sale on my website, except for these two pieces here, which just sold. With
Yay!
with another. So
Congratulations.
another is going to be added. There's going to be a triptych, and that's going to my friend Scott Cormer and Aaron. So thank you, Scott and Aaron. But all the others are for sale through my website, artofjeanpierre.com. in the currently available folder. You can see them. You can check them out. But talk to me about these other ones you want to show.
Yeah, we're gonna bring it up on the screen now. Seems like you guys have worked together before.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was the gallery director at Soma Vita for, gosh, like 3 years or something, and I had I was committed to showing artists of color and female artists, and mostly it was that. I didn't get to show all the queer artists or the disabled artists as I would have, but there was a strong focus on that, and I had the idea of doing a Basquiat homage show because I love him. Jean-Michel is just so good, and I invited, Cornelius had been making his desire known to me, so that he wanted to get in the gallery and he wanted to work together, and I was like, can you do a Jean-Michel piece? And he was like, sure can. And the piece that he painted, it literally stole the show. And so that's what we were talking about there.
Oh wow, yes,
Oh my God,
he's
yeah.
so good with those iconic portraits. These are just so amazing. Those are just epic. I love it. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it was I was just down. I love Summer Vita, I love Jean Pierre, and I was just like, when he came to me with the idea, I was like, let's do this. I was down. I was like, let's do it. Like, what else you need? What you need, man? That's and that's great though, man. It hurts me that I couldn't be there, man.
It was good. It was good. But we'll do more stuff. We're just getting started. We're just getting started.
Yeah, that's right, for sure.
We got some gas in the tank, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope once this pandemic is over, we can get back and go to the gallery and do this in person. So, well, I want to thank you both so much for being here, and it was a pleasure. I enjoyed the last hour. It was great, and I learned so much from you guys. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
For sure. Big love.
So that was our show for tonight. I hope you enjoyed it and you're feeling inspired. And if you end up creating something, please send it to us. We would love to see it, and we'll also share it on the show. We'll be back in 2 weeks with more art and inspiring stories. And until then, stay safe and don't forget to wash your hands. Bye.